Any damage that occurs will show up at the hairline first. If you're tearing your hair up and thinking that castor oil is gonna work, it ain't. It's not. Do the right thing and then put the castor oil on. Edges. Your edges are like baby hair, right? Everybody's got, you're a lot finer and less sparse around here in the hairline than you are the rest of your head. And otherwise it would look like you were wearing a wig. And so it's always a little less around here. That's why they call it baby hair, right? That's why some of people don't be trying to cut back some bangs and then paste it down as baby hair. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about your natural edges where the hair is finer and thinner naturally. And so edges in hair care is a lot like, it's kind of like when you go to the doctor, right? And the first thing that they look at when you go to the doctor they look into your eyes, your ears, and your tongue, and the back of your throat. I liken that same thing to your edges when I see customers and we're doing our consultation. I'm looking at their overall hair and I'm looking at their hairline. And a lot of these processes and or hairstyles can compromise your edges. And so you can always tell that there's something challenged with somebody's hair regimen based upon the edges. So you look at their edges and you're like, something's going on. And it's usually that there's either too much heat being used in that area, their braids are too tight, your weave is too tight, you wore something on your hair for too long that rubbed out your edges, whether it was a wig cap, you wore those braids underneath that wig for too long. There's a whole host of things that will compromise your edges. And no amount of castor oil, by the way, is great for the skin and the hair around your edges because it keeps, particularly if you are a kinkier texture, a coarser texture where their hair is naturally drier, and those edges, if you're not careful with them, they'll break. And because you can't let your hair, those strands curl around, dry out and lock up. And when you decide to go with them, you'll be breaking them because remember the hair is finer. Hearing about something like castor oil that will cause your hair to grow back, it can, but if you're still tearing your hair up, the castor oil ain't gonna work. But castor oil is great for keeping this area lubricated, these strands lubricated so they don't dry out. Whether you're wearing your hair natural or, it's good for your skin as well. It rejuvenates and it's a good lubricant for your edges so that they don't dry out, I should say. But again, if you're tearing your hair up and thinking that castor oil is gonna work, it ain't. Hopefully you've got a hairstylist that is very cognizant of your edges and how they do your hair, and that you're treating your hair like a fine fabric, like your favorite cashmere sweater, you've always heard me say. But it's really how gentle and how well and how luxurious you treat your hair, and any damage that occurs will show up at the hairline first, whether it was too harsh of a process, whether it's color or enhancing your texture, too much heat styling, too much of anything, too much lightener around the hairline will break off there first. I always suggest when someone comes in to get their hair blonde that the colorist doesn't take it from root to end at the hairline, but they do a little off the scalp around the face. It's just not necessary because that hair is just more fragile. Another form of hair loss is what women experience during pregnancy. They make a hormone called progesterone, and it's what every mother, pregnant woman everyone can attest to how beautiful her glow is, how lustrous her skin is, and how much thicker and vibrant her hair is, and that's due to a hormone that women make during their pregnancy called progesterone. And afterwards, after they give birth, a month or 2 or 3 afterwards, there is some hair loss because during the pregnancy, no hair has been lost, right? There's not a lot of shedding, so that's where the lustrous hair comes in during your pregnancy that makes you look so gorgeous. And then afterwards, all the shedding that should have happened starts to happen. And it usually shows up Back to my first point, you'll notice it at the hairline first. That you'll notice it that your edges are starting to thin out, and it's traumatic to a lot of women who didn't sign up for that. The good news is that shortly thereafter, over time, it comes back. Just like the hair loss from bad hair care or too many processes or that aren't really kind to your hair, well, you'll notice at the hairline first, right? As baby hair. Another form of hair loss happens with menopause. And I've seen friends and clients, women who start to lose their mind because all of a sudden in their 40s or 50s, they start to notice that their hair starts to thin out and get weak and anemic and just not the lustrous head of hair that they had when they were 25, 30. And it's traumatic. But I'll tell you, it always comes back. I always say kind of, get a strong cut that will kind of get all that weak hair, anemic hair off and kind of switch up your style at that point because ultimately your body will adjust itself and your hair will normalize and it will come back. I've seen it. I've experienced it from having my clients freak out and friends freak out and say, oh, my hair, what's going on? And we try to pin down the problem of it, and it usually comes on that they are either premenopausal or in menopause, full-fledged, and so that's usually the cause of it. And once your body levels itself out, it comes back, and so that's a great time to do a big makeover or change, cut some hair off, and switch up your style. Ultimately, the hair comes back thicker and fuller than all that madness that all that shedding and stuff. I know it's traumatic because I've been on the receiving end. And so yeah, I hope that helps anybody that that you can improve your hair care regimen, the health of your hair. You can get your edges back. Always go see a dermatologist. My favorite dermatologist is Dr. Michelle Henry here in New York City. She is a pro at all things dermatology, but specifically hair restoration. I hope that helps, and keep having them beautiful babies and keep looking beautiful, and we got you. So if you like these videos, I hope that you click like and subscribe and go to hairrules.com for further education and find a regimen and products that are specific to your hair texture, not someone else's. And so every day can be a great hair day. And yeah, see you soon.